Hey everyone, it is I, Varmalus the Malicious, and I have recently just got through watching Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Now, I have a lot to say about this movie, but first, let me talk about my thoughts on the Harry Potter series as a whole. Now, I've read all 7 of the books, but it's been a very damn long time since I've read any of the books. But I do in fact have them, and I have read them. And as far as I'm concerned, I think the movies have done a fantastic job chronicling the events of the books. A very good job indeed. The first 2 movies, Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, were both directed by Chris Columbus. And while he did a good job directing with those movies and directing the children, I felt that he stuck a little bit too close to the books. Because at times the movies felt like they were word-for-word adaptations of the books themselves. And you know, there's nothing wrong with sticking to the source material very closely, but you have to deviate in some places to maintain a sense of individualism. However, the 3rd movie, Prisoner of Azkaban, was the first one to have a different director, and it's my personal favorite out of all of the movies. The book was also my personal favorite. Prisoner of Azkaban was a fucking masterpiece. I love everything about it. Everything from the direction, to the cinematography, to the emotion, to the acting. Everything about the movie was absolutely goddamn great. And on top of that, the actors were really, the 3 main actors that play Harry, Ron, and Hermione did a great job of really evolving their talents and progressing to the next stage. Because you could tell that throughout all of the movies, they were getting progressively better at acting. The 4th movie, Goblet of Fire, was directed by a different guy than the 3rd movie, and while Goblet of Fire was awesome, it had a lot of awesome action sequences, like the book was pretty awesome, but I kind of still prefer the 3rd movie. The 5th movie was the first one to be directed by the guy who would pretty much direct the rest of the series from there, David Yates. The 5th movie I actually liked a lot, which is saying something for me because the 5th book, I didn't care for the 5th book. It was too depressing. There was just too much bad stuff going on. It dragged on horribly. And I don't know, I just didn't care much for the 5th book. The 6th movie, however, is probably my least favorite, but only because it deviated too much from the book. That being said, it's still an awesome movie, though. You know, it says something when you have 7 movies and none of them suck. Not a single damn one of them. Now, I perfectly understood why they needed to separate this film into 2 parts. And in case you have no knowledge of what's going on, here's the basic rundown. This movie takes place exactly where the first part left off. Harry, Hermione, and Ron they just escaped from the Malfoy mansion, and right now they're about to enter Gringotts Bank in order to find one of the Horcruxes, which is a fake sort of Gryffindor that is owned by Helena Bonham Carter's character, Bellatrix Lestrange. So the whole rest of the movie is basically them trying to find the rest of the Horcruxes. However, they return to Hogwarts, and boy, when that happened, the movie's climax officially starts. All the action scenes at Hogwarts were freaking awesome. I loved it. I loved them. I loved all the action scenes that took place at Hogwarts. There was so much happening. There's so much stuff blowing up. So many people dying. There's just, like, all the stuff happening at Hogwarts was just pure carnage. And that's what I wanted to see. That's exactly what I wanted to see. People dying, shit blowing up, magic spells being cast all the way. A lot of characters end up dying. A lot of main characters that we end up loving just die. A lot of characters we care about and some characters we don't exactly care about. I won't spoil anything. However, I will say that later on in the movie, I am going to spoil this one plot point. We actually find out that Professor Snape actually cared very deeply for Harry. And on top of that, he was actually there the night that Harry's parents were murdered, and he actually cradled Harry's mother's body right next to her, sobbing in like despair and like grief. So one thing I don't exactly understand is, if Snape loved Harry's mother so much, then why does he side with Voldemort and the Death Eaters? You know, the guys who killed Harry's parents. It's been a long time since I've read the book. A really long time. So I may just sound really ignorant, but if there are any Harry Potter fans out there who can enlighten me and actually tell me, I would really appreciate it. What else? The climax, the very end of the movie, is some of the most powerful filmmaking you will ever see. Because you see Harry and Voldemort fighting. You just see Death Eaters getting killed. You see regular good guys getting killed. It all adds up to like a huge crescendo of just chaos and action. And just powerful, just regular good old good versus evil action. It's great. I freaking loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was a way better ending than Transformers 3. Good God, Transformers 3 was such a piece of shit. The ending to that movie was absolutely horrendous. This movie kicks the shit out of it. All the actors do great. I'm really just flabbergasted by how much Daniel Radcliffe has evolved as an actor over the course of the Harry Potter movies. You know, all the other actors and actresses, all their character arcs just come at a close, and all their relationships and their romances are explored. Ron hooks up with Hermione, Harry hooks up with Ginny, but they don't place an excessive amount of of time on the romance like they did in the 6th movie, which was something I really hated about that movie. But finishing up this review, all I'm going to say is that I think that Deathly Hallows is like the best ending to a movie series since Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. It really has that same emotional impact and that same sense of satisfaction and closure that Return of the King had. All the bad guys die in just completely drawn out, spectacular ways, and the good guys all live on to live happy lives. And that's what I freaking want to see. This is how you end a movie series. Hell yes, I love Deathly Hallows Part 2 and Part 1. All the way. I think J.K. Rowling has really made a killing off of this franchise of books, and she freaking deserves it. Because the Harry Potter series is really the series that got me into reading books in the first place. You know, if it weren't for Harry Potter, then I wouldn't be such a huge book nerd. I hate to say it, but there it is, people. There's my confession. Harry Potter is really a series that has inspired me a lot. I think Harry will go down in history as one of the greatest cinematic heroes of our time. Right next to friggin' Luke Skywalker, or Michael Corleone, or Frodo Baggins, or whatever. Great movie, great characters, a great ending to a great franchise. It was great. Now, if some of you people, if there are people out there who don't like the Harry Potter movies, this movie won't exactly change your mind. But to all the fans out there, this is a great ending to the series. I highly recommend you check it out, but I don't think I'll need to tell you that, because it's raking in a crap load of money. I'll tell you right now, going to the theater was quite an experience. Well, that's my review of Deathly Hallows Part 2. I hope you guys will check out the movie. I certainly enjoyed it. And this is Varmalus the Malicious, signing off.